nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. Fun time had by all. I'm Petey Rave, and for dinner tonight I had arroz con frijoles negros y picadillo. And here with me is my team, my squad, my crew, my gang, my quorum.
Gang.
Yeah. We've got David.
Did you know that none of the members of the group were actually named Tony?
Mm-hmm. We've got Drew.
I had we ordered in Chinese, not as on brand for this episode. It was delicious.
Yes. And we've got joining us for this cycle in the rotating fourth chair, we've got Mike Will, aka CerealSensei. How you doing, Mike?
Hello. I haven't been here in it's been some years.
It's been some time. Years. This is the last time we were doing the rotating fourth chair. We're here to talk about music. We're here to talk about an album, and the provider of the album, of course, is the first episode of the cycle is me, and I brought the group an example of a young Cuban artist doing Afro-Cuban funk music. He goes by the name of Cimafunk, and about his latest album, El Alimento. I want to go to you guys for expectations before I elaborate. David.
He's switching it up, folks.
David, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
I expected something that probably would have been not as organic as this. I expected something more electronic, more modern, but I think it provides a balance of classic and modern music while also maintaining very uniquely Cuban style and having those sensibilities where it blends modern black music with what you would expect from music from this part of the world. I think this is an exceptionally well thought out, well balanced, complete album. And also, given the first few tracks on the album, I wanted to see how it would translate live. And I will say Cimafunk is a fantastic live act. Mm-hmm. For as much as I enjoyed this album, watching the band perform live was that much more of an enjoyable experience.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, as far as expectations, I don't think I had any. All I had going off of it was the name of the album, which told me, hey, this is going to be in Spanish. Some persuasion, some Spanish words were going to be said, and there was a decidedly a lot of food and a naked black gentleman, and that's all I got. So
someone was going to hablo the Espanol.
Yes,
indeed.
Mike, what expectations did you have coming to this album?
Not many at all. But when I pulled up the track listing, I saw George Clinton, and I said, "Oh, yes. This is going to be fun." Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to listen to, but I'm expecting. If I don't like any other track, I'm going to like that.
Yes.
When I cut that on. Yes. I hope I like that track, and I did. But
yes.
I thought it would be fun.
Yes.
It was definitely a fun listen.
Let's talk about this album. This is the simple description I gave for everyone is Afro. People calling me at 8 o'clock in the night. CVS Pharmacy
We're live,
called me Afro-Cuban funk. And it is there's a little bit more of the Cimafunk takes his name Cima, so obviously funk for funk, and Cima is short for cimarron, which is the Spanish name for the African slaves that escaped Spanish slavery and formed communities with a lot of the native Taino population, like away from usually off like in up in the mountains or off in other places, and kind of like formed their civilization and kind of formed life away from there and kind of like survived away from after escaping Spanish slavery. And this is definitely, it reflects it in his music. He takes a lot of really classic funk music. We're talking to this album, a lot of really classic funk sounds, but infuses it with Afro-Cuban sounds, Cuban, salsa and all these other kind of styles of music, modern, like even a little bit of hip hop here and there, like R&B and things like that. And he's always been influenced by kind of like bringing in the different styles of the diaspora, but especially kind of like his connection as an Afro-Latino, and how important Afro-Latine music is to Latin music, to music in general. Is just a huge influence. I mean, like I've talked about it before, that it's important to note that like the arguably the biggest icon in the history of Cuban music was a black woman. So it's like, and for good reason, we had Celia Cruz, because it's such a huge influence. And so you get that a lot in his music here, and you get a lot of the really great funk music, especially with like the bringing in somebody like George Clinton kind of shaping the production of this album, and some of these really great stars. You get just fun dance tracks, fun songs that just like make you want to kind of like groove and dance to them. A lot of really great beats and a lot of really great funk styles, a lot of really great like horns and percussions and like just great instrumentation. The singing is just fantastic, and his style is really great. There's a lot of food references because I can tell you as our Cubans, I think this is going to be something that we share.
Tell us about the Cuban people, Petey Rave.
Food is our love language. Like it's just like, that's what it is. It's like, and this is, it's all like, if food is such a huge thing, and he mentions, and it's like el alimento, I should say, el alimento is Spanish for the nourishment, and just the food, the kind of like nourishing you through, and it nourishes you in more ways than one, your body and your soul and
this
your
album
spirit.
is a meal.
Yes. And like, we'll get to like specific tracks and how they go, but like it uses food and culture and music and life. He sings about Cuban life and about his people, and he sings about kind of makes great little references to his namesake and things like that. And he wants to create a music and a style that connects you to who he is as a Latino, as a Cuban, as an Afro-Latino. He wants you to connect to that, and connect you through the music and that. I'll elaborate more because this is fun little moments when we talk about key tracks, but let's go to you guys for music. David, how would you describe this album musically?
This album is a mix of modern urban music, where you'll hear some hip hop influence and some R&B influence, but also you'll hear some James Brown and some Parliament Funkadelic, i.e. the George Clinton cameo. And those two blend together really well here. You'll also hear, as Petey mentioned, the salsa, the Latino music, and it all blends exceptionally well. The more modern sensibilities don't sound out of place. The more organic instruments playing funk and soul elements don't sound out of place. It all just kind of fits together like a meal of, or even a multi-course meal of dishes from different places, but they all use kind of the same ingredients. An Iron Chef special of an album, if you will, where there are a lot of the same ingredients, just cooked in different ways, and it works very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
I think as far as this album, I will say breaking down albums is always fun from a musical like thinking standpoint. It's always fun to do this show because of that. This is the most like just pure joy and pure fun that I've had listening to a record in a while. On this show especially. Like David said, there is a lot of genre bending here. And there's two ways that can sometimes go. It can become a little muddled at times by some artists. It could become sort of like you have too many cooks in the kitchen. I never felt that here. It's something that you have those underlying rhythms that can span a lot of dance-centric genres. Cuban music, especially Afro-Cuban music. You have Jamaican dance hall, you have hip hop. They're all something that has this like underlying rhythmic quality that you can bend and mold. You have the keyboard coming in a lot, just these punchy keyboards that are always great. It made me think back to the Dave Chappelle skit, where they had like, oh, what's
listeners, audio listeners, all of us just collectively grinned and laughed
because we all remember the bit, and there's truth in that. Like the best comedy comes from truth. But the mixing of that, and you have people from those genres making these cameos, almost being featured. I mean, you have names like George Clinton, but you also have Lupe Fiasco. You have a CeeLo Green. You have, if you know Jamaican dancehall music at all, Stylo G's the dude you know. Like, you have those people in here giving that sort of credibility. This is the second full length, if I'm reading correctly, from Cimafunk. It's a sophomore release, and sometimes you get a slump, and instead I feel like this is rocketing to like recognition. This is like him showing up and being like, hey, like, you're going to pay attention.
Mike, how would you describe this album musically?
First, before I get into that, I have to say real quick a bit that I read on him. Apparently at first, like his family was into like everybody being a doctor and going like the medical route.
Yeah.
And he chose music. You did the right thing. Thank God you did the right thing. We need more doctors, but no, you made a great choice. But I feel like he took like the best of just funk, soul, hip hop, dance. He just grabbed from all of these different cultures, just threw them all in a stew, and just took the best elements of all of them. And I feel like other people could try this and it would be like a mess. Like, it wouldn't sound cohesive. And somehow this all nothing to me really felt out of place. Like everything just kind of worked together. And I thought it was interesting because you can hear all of the influences from all these different styles. It made me think of how even different genres of music, how we all kind of do really borrow from each other. It's almost like, it's like a timeline almost. Like he borrows from so many different time periods. It's like you can tell like, oh, this was from like the 70s, 80s. Oh, this is a little more modern. I don't know. It made me think of just like how all of these genres, like they might be different, but we all still kind of like borrow and we're all influenced by each other. And I think that's kind of how and like why it works so well. And yeah, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was saying like the features definitely were, those were just really interesting features. Like I said, the George Clinton, that popped out immediately.
Yeah.
Lupe Fiasco. So it's like not only are you borrowing different genres, like production wise, you're getting actual artists who are also different. And they also somehow don't sound out of place. I was ready for Lupe. I love Lupe, but I heard that beat and then I heard Lupe and I was like, all right, how is this going to work? What is he going to do there's no way this is going to work out. And it was fine. I had no issue with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very well produced album. That was really what stood out to me the most with the production.
It's a real ropa vieja of an album.
Yeah, exactly. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, God, I could eat more.
Can we have a ropa vieja?
Yeah. Well, we got one. Next time we get together, well, I'll find wherever we're at. I'll find a good Cuban place, and we'll just all have
please.
arroz con frijoles negro, ropa vieja, picadillo.
And then in the morning we can have some cafecito. Oh, can't wait.
I'll make it myself.
Yes.
With good puma. Oh, fun! Before I get into the tracks, this is the most adorable thing. So I'm here with I'll say like speaking of like families all together. This household is me, my mom, my aunt, my sister, and our occasionally our niece, a little like about to turn 2-year-old niece, and watching her start to, because she loves imitating. This is a kid, so she imitates a lot of things. So there's a part in our myself and my tia share cafecito duties. We make the coffee, we make the cafecito. One of us, whoever is free. And when you make espuma, which is like the foam for the top, you get a little bit of the coffee into the sugar, and you just kind of like make a slurry and just go, just take a spoon and go like that.
I've done this.
Yeah.
The arm strength.
Yeah, you got to do that.
I need to try this in honor of Petey.
There was a point at some point, and she would do it over and over again, where my niece started doing this, like started imitating our aunt, just doing the hand motion, just like her little hands going. Every time she would do it, it was like the best thing.
Don't let her drink any.
We start them young. She gets her little finger in it. Like she'll get a lick when we make it. So she gets to dip her finger and drink some. We start them young. Sorry, that's just this Cuban household. I don't know. People want to come at us for it. Whatever. Key tracks. Starting right off with Funk Aspirin. It hits you right in the face with what you're going to expect with this album, which is just great funk music, great beats, great, super danceable, really fun, really good. It brings the energy right away. And George Clinton is just a great addition to the track, and just his like little just him coming out and saying, "What is a booty, and how will I know if I'm shaking it?" I'm like, it gets me
that's the first note I wrote down.
It's like every time it gets me. It's just a great little moment, and it is just like the thesis of the album in such a fantastic way. And you get into Rompelo, which is more of the same, brings in a little bit more hip hop style. And yeah, Lupe does a fantastic job as a feature. Just as that nice little like extra piece right in there that adds to the whole dish, the little extra garnish that adds to the whole dish in a fantastic way. And just it's really cool. Esto Cuba is a great track about Cuba and life in Cuba and places in Cuba, shouting them out. Also really great fun influence from California Love from it, and I think it uses that like just the at least the lyric delivery really well for that. Also shout out to Pinar Del Rio, which is where Cimafunk is from, and it is also where my father's family is from. So we kind of have that connection as well to Pinar Del Rio. That's why my dad and his brother founded Los Pinareños in Little Havana. It's been there ever since the 60s, I think, at this point. It's still there. Hasn't been bought to build condos yet.
I was gonna say, is it a karaoke place?
It's a fruteria. It's a fruit you can get. Man, okay, I grew up crazy. Like I grew up, that was the place in our family. They sell fruits and vegetables and things like that. They'd sell coconut water before coconut water was cool. Like literally what they would do is just get a, we're talking about the big green coconuts from around here. They would take a coconut, just hack at it with a machete, like a literal giant machete, until the opening opened up, stick a straw in it, hand you the coconut. Like,
I am so here for the Ray family lore.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Yes. And Jugo de Caña, which is just a machine that was specifically made to stick in sugar canes and squeeze them and get the sugarcane juice out of there. And you would just serve sugarcane juice. Like, all right, just getting into my
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
My tangents. Growing up. It's just some beautiful things. But yeah, the Esto Cuba, you're kind of like shouting at different places about life in Cuba and things like that. Sad de lo Malo is, I think, the most like salsa like and most like Latino like, and it is such a great like vibe, such a great like, and lyrically it's really fun. It's really like has a really great moments, and I'll speak to, I'm probably the only one to speak to like lyrics unless anybody else did research, but like I like the moments of like where they say like specifically las abuelas son el ley. The grandmas are the law. And like abuelas are law. And let me get the lyric right.
Petey also playing the role of translator for the three of us on this episode.
I
Yes.
was also going to say maternal figures as law.
Yes.
Italian households, black households, Cuban households.
Yeah, that's
universal.
Yes,
That's universal.
Exactly. Las abuelas son ley, tienen la verdad en la palabra, siempre te dan el consejo y uno se cae si hablan. Abuelas are law. There's truth. They have truth in their words. They give you consejos. They give you they always got the advice for you, and one is quiet when they speak. Yeah.
Well said.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. And like la era de sazón, la era de sazón, which is the era of seasoning, which I the era of seasoning, the era of flavor. It's just a great track, and CeeLo Green making an appearance and singing in Spanish. which is just fantastic.
Impressive.
And
That's impressive.
Was not
was-
expecting that at all.
yeah, and it's just like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. This is fantastic. And like, it was one of the great, features, and like there's all things like La Quema la Te Quema la Bemba, which is great, and like Caramelo was great. There's so many of these tracks just are fantastic to feature on, like the features on La Noche, even Salvaje would being kind of just like a fun little like change of pace with just a nice little ballad. I could go on. Let's move on. David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Okay. The first 2 tracks on the album, Funk Aspirin and Rompelo, they didn't quite hit me right away. But then in my research, I saw Cimafunk perform on NPR's Tiny Desk series. And when I heard them perform live, I realized that these songs really pop in a live environment. For the rest of the album, I will start with Salvaje, where you really get to hear Cimafunk's vocal talent. You really get to hear him sing. Also, a piano work from Lester Snell that is just fantastic. Estoy pa eso. Really good flow from start to finish. Cimafunk shows some really good falsetto that he's got some good control on, and it's kind of an old school track. There's some P-Funk DNA on this track.
Mm-hmm. Heavy.
And I also mentioned La Era del Sazon. I wrote this in my notes. It has a Jamiroquai feel to it in the best way possible. Very strong bass line.
Good
Does
job.
not quit. Very, very good track.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, as I usually do, we're gonna start with Funk Aspirin. Starting with a very funky horn-driven song is awesome. Also, George Clinton, with the amount of cocaine that man did, how he is not dead, I am not sure, but he is a national treasure, and I hope he never dies.
How are him and Ozzy not friends?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they are. Maybe they are.
They probably should be, just on the fact of they're both preserved from the outside or the inside out.
Can you imagine like
Just
a
the amount of
an
drugs they
Ozzy
did.
George Clinton reality show?
My friend went to see P-Funk with his dad, and they literally were like, hey, we're gonna start the sound check real quick. We understand that you got here early to hear the sound check. George just has to smoke this rock real quick. And that's an actual story that happened. Fucking goddamn it. George Clinton is a goddamn national treasure, and you can't convince me otherwise. Then the second track, Rompeo. Again, this was mentioned, but Lupe Fiasco just like showing up and like fitting in so well here is amazing. The entire track works, but that sort of needs to be highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
La Noche, let me say, first time listening through, I try not to look at anything and just listen to it. This one like stuck out to me really heavy. I'm like, why am I like this song? Everything about this song feels great. And then I looked, I'm like, thought about it more and looked at who's on this track, and I'm like, oh, they're doing Jamaican dance hall. Of course I like this. I'm always a sucker for this.
Yes.
God damn it. I can't get away from Jamaican dance music. I haven't been a musician, like I haven't played music in years, and I still can't get away from it. And then La Era da Sazon, if my white ass is pronouncing that correctly. Probably butchering it in some way. But one, that track is amazing. From front to back. The funk comes out really heavy in that. And then also the use of auto-tune at the beginning is or the talk box or whatever vocal effect that was great.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, CeeLo Green, underappreciated. I am always down for CeeLo Green on a track. Possibly that makes me crazy, but I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Somebody got my joke in the back. Thank you for laughing at my bad joke, babe.
Yes. And shout out to Choke Quiptown, Colombian hip hop group who got that feature on the La Noche, and the Afro-Cuban future music. Like, I love that part. It's like Afro-Cuban future music. Like, yep, that's a good.
That's the name of his next album.
Yes. Mike, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, of course, we all mentioned it, but Funk Aspirin can't be understated. Just when you start off your album with George Clinton, like, you got my ears. You got me at least about the next 4 songs. I'm gonna give you a chance. But no, that's how you kick off an album. La Noche, that's the one that popped for me the first time. Like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, this, I don't know if this was a single, but this should have, if this wasn't a single, somebody messed up. Because that is, that's the song that if I was trying to like sell this album to somebody to get them to listen to it, this is the song I'm giving you. Like, put this on. I don't care if you don't understand the words. You don't need to. You'll be fine. Just turn this up in your headphones, and I promise you, you're going to love it. It reminded me of, and people are going to judge me. I don't care. Listen, I love the Fast and Furious movies. Mm-hmm. This is a song that's going to play in one of those.
Yo, if one of this dude's tracks ain't on the next Fast and the Furious, I don't want it. I love Fast and the Furious. I don't want it.
Don't worry. If there's one thing the Record Breakers podcast understands, it's family.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, this has to be in a movie. But that's like my favorite song. Estoy Pa Eso, I love that one too. I love the production on that one. Something about like the I love the voice box, and something about those drums and the effect they had on the drums. I was like, I could hear this being sampled by some West Coast producer because it had like a bounce to it that I really like. Yeah. So that was definitely a standout. Rumpella with Lupe, man, the guy's he's one of my favorite rappers ever, and that he went up another notch. Yeah. Lupe just doing Lupe things, just being amazing for no reason. What was the other one? There's some I actually didn't write notes on. Salvaje was definitely an interesting track because of I wasn't expecting that slowdown. Like, we spent the whole that was track number 7, so we spent the first 6 tracks we're dancing, we're having a good time, we're going off, and it's like, okay, everybody calm down for a second. Can I have your attention, please?
Yes.
I'll play this nice little ballad. We're all gonna relax for a little bit, and then we pick right back up. The CeeLo track, of course, La Era del Sazón. CeeLo coming and singing in Spanish. It's like, CeeLo, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. just keep doing it. Yeah. Those are just a couple, but I think I kind of like the first half of the album better than the second, because I feel like the first, everything up to Salvaje like slaps you in the face. Like, it's just, you better be on this dance floor. Yeah. And you're going to be sweating. And then you get that one little halftime break, and then, then it's back to it. Yeah. But, this is just really good. This is a really good listen.
Cuban parties don't play. It could be your niece's 2-year-old birthday party. It's gonna be they'll be playing salsa and like playing all that music on, and there's gonna be people running around dancing. There's all the adults are gonna have beer, and that's just how it is. Like
that one attractive Tia is gonna be wearing her best dress.
Yeah. Let's bring it back around the horn. Talk about some conclusive thoughts. David, how would you conclude on this album as a whole?
This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this. It was classic funk with modern pop production and some hip hop style choices. This is 100% Afro-Cuban in the purest sense of the term. I was surprised at just how much hip hop influence there was. Not saying that's a bad thing by any means. I was just surprised. I expected this to be more of a Latin album than it was, but it does not take away from the album at all. The entire album is great, in my opinion. It's a lot of fun. You will be putting this on in the summer. This is going to be played in the summer, guaranteed. And it's an absolute blast. Highly recommended.
Drew, how would you conclude on this album as a whole?
This album is something that I was not expecting. And those are sometimes the best albums. I absolutely fell in love with the genre mixing. From top to bottom, this record is well produced. Cimafunk is a great singer. I wish I understood the lyrics at all. I won't say better, because my Spanish accounts to saying I either have no pants or chickens.
I swear, if you say "Donde está el baño," I'm leaving this podcast for another month.
Actually, the thing I always go to is Los pollos en las pantalones, which means I have cooked chicken in my pants. Because I was a great high schooler that did my work well.
Yes, we all got to start somewhere.
Yes,
I could go for some pica de pollo. I really could.
Yeah.
But no, it's something that like there is always the like stereotype and always the cliche that like music can bring all cultures together. It's not always on an album that you have multiple cultures' music being brought together in such a cool way. So it's something that definitely, usually I say like, this might not be everybody's cup of tea or like give it to certain groups of people. I think this is one of those albums where it doesn't matter. It's one of those albums where if you throw on a couple of tracks from this anywhere to any group of people, I would find you hard pressed to find somebody that would absolutely hate it, unless they're a horrible human being. But that's fine.
It's just a good litmus test to see who you can kick out of your life. If they don't like this, they're not good to people. Yeah, just don't talk to them.
Put on La Noche and you don't feel something, then there's something's wrong.
Yeah, we not friends.
Hey, look,
I don't fuck with you.
Right.
Look at my skin tone. I have certain family members that might not love this music.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
They are wrong. I'm not saying they're not wrong, but it's a fact of the point.
Yes. Mike, how would you conclude on this album as a whole?
It's just fun. I listened to this a lot actually while I was working, since I work from home pretty much most of the days of the week. And when you're sitting at a computer for 8 hours and you're not feeling enthused about your workday, this was the perfect thing to just help, just give me a little something like, all right, I'm gonna make it. I only got 40 minutes left. I can power through this.
The kids are on spring break at the school I work at, and I was very happy about that. Because at times I found myself grooving a little bit too hard to the music. I was like, oh, I'm glad there's not children around because I would look like a fucking idiot.
This album is a just the right shot of cafecito.
Yes, exactly. With this album, so to conclude, I one of the reasons I picked this album is I think we've all been having a little bit of a tough time in various ways lately in tough moments. I think probably not to presume, but I think everybody in the present has been having some tough times lately. And I just wanted to give everyone a feel good album. Like, I just wanted to give everyone just an album that was fun to listen to, that had that was upbeat, and had a good rhythm, and it just was kind of lifted you up. And this is also a continuing thing of like me connecting back to the Cuban in me, the Cuban in me, and like trying out different Cuban music. Because I'd found Cimafunk by looking looking up article on Cuban artists and finding an article on Cuban artists to keep an eye out. I think it was like 11 Cuban musicians to celebrate the end of 2020. Yeah, it was on Teen Mag. It was like the Teen magazine. It was 11 Cuban musicians to celebrate the end of 2020. It was like something else, and he was on top of the list amongst a bunch of other really cool artists that I'm going to probably look at and might feature. And I figured that this is such a great representation of not just Cuban culture, but Afro-Cuban culture in so many ways, and music that I think a lot of people can connect to. And like I said, if you, especially the first half of the album, if you listen to these songs and you don't feel something, you don't feel like, and you don't like it, I'm sorry,
You're
but
wrong.
you're wrong, and but we're not going to be friends. Like, this is an impasse here. As we've said, the cliche of like, it's not for everyone. This is for everyone that's right.
That's worth a damn.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't fuck with this, you're not invited to the cookout. Like,
The Record Breakers podcast. If you do not fuck with this album, the Record Breakers podcast collectively does not fuck with you.
Exactly. So go
TikTok trend. We're taking the plate away.
Yes.
Fuck you. You're out.
Like, you do not get the plate. You do not get to take any home. We're confiscating your Tupperware. Go. Get out. You do not get cafecito at the end of the meal. Goodbye. Yeah. Go check this album out. Go check this artist out. I'm looking forward to seeing Cimafunk grow as an artist and musician. He's getting buzz, like getting featured on NPR's Tiny Desk concert. And I look forward to maybe one day going and seeing him live, because that's got to be just a fun time. It's just everybody's just out of their seat. No seats filled unless you're not able to stand up. We're all dancing, and you know what? If you got to sit down to dance, you'll sit down and dance. Like, we're all dancing. Yeah. Those are our thoughts on Cimafunk's El Alimento. Now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Haiku Reviews, where we sum it all up in poetic form with the 575. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Haiku numero uno. David, what is your haiku?
My haiku. Mix of old and new, enjoyable Cuban funk, even better live.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what is your haiku?
Cuban flavored funk. No sophomore slump to be seen. Dance into the night.
Mm-hmm. Mike, what is your haiku?
My haiku is, don't know the lyrics, but the music jams like hell.
Mm-hmm.
Afro-Cuban vibes.
Yes. My haiku. Afro-Cuban funk. Alimento de alma. Abuela son ley. Yes.
Perfect.
Well said.
Yes, exactly. Those are our thoughts on Cimafunk's El Alimento. Go check it out on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Do your due diligence and your due diligence. Follow along at home. We got 2 playlists, one with the episodes slotted in and one without. So you can kind of follow along with the way you would prefer. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's record, presumably. And it's going to be provided by David. David, what have you got for us next week?
Petey Rave, Record Breakers, listeners, and fans, I gave a little hint to my album at the top of the show. This album is one of a couple that I've had kind of in my chamber for the right guest to come along. And I think that today is the day and now is the time with our guy Mike Will, who made it, of course. This album is from 2019. It is from critically acclaimed legendary R&B artist Raphael Sadiq and whose 2019 album, Jimmy Lee.
Woo. That's it.
Yes. So look forward to that. But that'll be next week, and this is this week. And you can, of course, find us all over the internet. David is at Call Me DJM. Drew is at XTruciferX. Mike is at CerealSensei. I'm at Petey Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on Twitch and on YouTube. You can watch us live on Twitch when we record these episodes, and you can also catch all of our other streams, including my Witcher stream with Daisy, our D&D show through the tomes, my Mass Effect playthrough right now. There's also a really cool charity drive available on the stream that also includes picking what Mass Effect 3 ending I choose. So check that out. Watch us live and you'll find out what's going on with that, or watch the VODs on Rebelli TV on YouTube. But yeah, check us out everywhere we find podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Do all the places. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Annyeong. Fighting.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.